Welcome to the Strong, Single and Human podcast, a real look at single parenting, how to navigate the ups and downs of life with kids on your own while keeping sane. We cover all manner of subjects from domestic violence, dealing with childhood trauma, through to fussy eaters and how to help your kids become resilient. I'm your host, Claire Martin. Welcome. This week we have two guests. One, Momma Firefox, has been a guest before on the podcast and is a mental health advocate, part-time live show host, podcaster, content creator and variety gamer with a full-time job on top of all of that. This super mum is raising her two kids as a single mum. She has a 9-year-old who has Tourette Syndrome and a 16-year-old who is transgender and struggles with anxiety. My second guest is Jax, Momma Firefox's 16-year-old transgender son, whose biggest challenge since coming out as a transgender has been communicating with his parents. Conversely, he has found a lot of joy in interactions with complete strangers when they affirm his gender, even unknowingly. He enjoys gaming with his friends, spending time with his girlfriend, playing with his little brother and his pets, chilling with the family, art stuff, and listening to music, just like any other teenager. They both live in Texas, and together they just do their collective best to get by with all the politics and real dangers that come along with being different these days. All they want to do is help others feel less lonely and encourage people to seek help when it feels the hardest, but they need it the most. This is the Strong, Single and Human podcast. Hi, welcome to the podcast, Momma Firefox and Jax. We got two people today.
Thank you so much. We are happy to be here with you.
Oh, I love talking to you. You're just an amazing person. And we now get one of your children joining us, Jax. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's people need to go back and listen to my other episode with Momma Firefox, right? Because I'm not going to go into any detail regarding Momma Firefox and who she is and what she does. But look, tell us a little bit about yourself and why Jax is on and what's going on, what's been happening.
Yeah. So, you're right. We did a whole podcast together. So if you wants to go listen to that one, that's fine. Get lots of down and dirty about me, which is great. But essentially, I'm a single mom. I live with my 16-year-old. That's Jax. He's here with me today. Yeah. And my 10-year-old, he just turned 10 9 days ago. So we're just kind of making it as we can. And Jax is trans, and that's kind of what we're here to talk about today. So, Claire, you thought that it would be a great idea to have Jax on and kind of talk about what it's like to transition and what it's like to be a parent of someone who is transitioning and that kind of thing. So we are happy to join and hope that this conversation helps somebody feel a little less alone. You want to add anything?
I don't think so.
No. Jax is in high school. He's getting an associate's degree in education and wants to be a teacher. So, I don't know what else. I don't know if there's anything else you want to say about yourself or no. Loves
we'll dive into it. We will dive into it. And look, as I was saying to you previously, this is now close to my heart because although this is the single, strong, human podcast, Strong, Single and Human podcast. Maybe I should get the name of my own podcast right. But anyway, it's been one of those mornings. It's Monday morning, right? So, but I am now dating, and the wonderful person that I'm dating has an his oldest child is transitioning too. Mm-hmm. So it's quite close to my heart, and it's really important, right? This is going on a lot for kids out there and adults out there, right? Let's not just think it's a kid thing, right? It's adults that have lived with this
their whole life, and now they can come out and say, hey, this is what I want to do. So let's start off with Jax. I'm going to go straight in it with you, right? Here we go. So all your nerves need to blow out the window, right? So no, but what does it mean to you to be transgender?
Oh, I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay. Okay. What
really?
So I'm going to try and ask it a different way. Why transgender? Why is it important for you to transition and not
so I can feel more
and not just continue in life?
So I can feel more comfortable with myself and how I present to other people.
Okay, cool. No, that's
so
okay.
Jax was assigned female at birth and is socially transitioned as male presenting.
Kind of.
Well, yeah, for the most part. So there are plenty of days where it's like, I don't know, not super feeling like putting on the binder and everything. So it's kind of just an affirmation of how he feels on the inside, and to present that on the outside as well, and then get that affirmation from strangers as well whenever they say he or sir or anything like that is really, really neat.
No, it is. It's really
Did
cool.
I get that right?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Mum.
Yeah.
So are there so although I am dealing with this currently in my relationship, I didn't actually, it's only been 3 or 4 months, right? 5 months. Or he'd kill me because I don't know how long it's been, but like it's been 5 months, right? But it's like were there signs? Did you pick up, Momma Firefox, did you pick up on any signs that maybe something was going on with Jax that you needed to delve into a little bit deeper? Did Jax come out and say, because it's a big thing, isn't it, Jax, to like go, hey, Mum, hey, I'm not feeling this girl thing. I want to, go down there. I actually really feel like I should be male. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me as a parent, it wasn't that there were like signs. I didn't necessarily have any idea that he was feeling this way. As a kid, he always liked to wear dresses. He always, he was in Girl Scouts. He did everything that was typical, for a female child. Yeah. But it wasn't in a like super girly way or anything, aside from wearing dresses, which that's not necessarily a sign of what gender you feel like you should be if you want to wear dresses. If my 10-year-old who is assigned male at birth and also affirms male, then if he feels like he wants to wear a dress, that doesn't make him a girl. So, there weren't any necessarily signs, but you, Jax, you didn't come out to me as trans at first. What did you say first?
Non-binary.
Not well.
Right.
But before that, you said pan. And so we had a conversation at that time of, well, let's look at sexuality versus identity, because pan is more a sexuality thing, an attraction thing. And at that time, you were, how old were you? Like,
I have no concept
13,
of time,
14. He was like 13 or maybe 12 or 13. Yeah. And I was like, let's talk about attraction versus identity, because that's something completely different. Yeah. And then you were like, okay, well, I think non-binary is what I'm looking for. Right. And I don't remember how long it was.
And non-binary, because that's not sexuality, that's identity. That's what you identify identify as. And there is but there's a difference, isn't there, between identity and sexuality.
Sexuality, attraction, yeah.
I'm trying to get it the right way around.
Yeah, I mean,
identity go. No, you go.
Well, I was just going to say, to me, sexuality is one thing that is pretty fluid. Throughout your life, you can change that repeatedly. One day you can feel like you're super straight, and the next day you're like, oh, that girl's really pretty,
Exactly.
So,
hello,
and
happy days.
And that's fine. And when you're 12 or 13, and your child comes to you and says, well, I want to express this thing about sexuality and attraction. Me as a parent, when I heard that, I was like, you're too young to make that determination. Like, you don't need to pigeonhole yourself into, oh, I'm attracted to only this kind of person, or I'm attracted to all kinds of people, because you can always change your mind later. And so after we had that conversation of, don't worry about sexuality and labeling yourself that way, then the conversation went further into, well, it's that I'm not comfortable the way that I am. And that's different. That's your identity. That's how you are on the inside is different from, well, I'm attracted to this person over here. And so we had that conversation, and it wasn't just one conversation. It was many. It was a long, like, repeated process of, all right, let's dig into that. Okay, let's talk about that, which I like to talk about things.
I know. And
Jax does not necessarily like to talk about things. So it's very much like pulling teeth.
But I would imagine it's very much like, oh, Mom, like, oh, please stop. And you just care about your kids, right? And so you're going, I already care. I want to make sure that you're okay, right? I want to make sure that, you know, your mental health is okay, and that I'm giving you all that I can. But yeah, I can imagine, Jax, you must have been going like, oh my God, not this again. Jesus, Mom. It's like, oh, give it a rest. But I agree with you, right? It's so important. Sexuality can change, right? It's like, it's okay to be I mean, and I suppose we need to explain a little bit as well about pansexual, right? Because I was talking about this the other day, right? And I went, pansexual, what is that? And it's like, there is no type as such. You sexually like everything. As such, there's no like boy, girl, like.
Do you want to give your understanding of pan? Okay, so let me put it this way, because I have a hard time understanding still sometimes the difference between someone who is What'd you say?
It's okay.
Oh, the difference between someone who is pan and someone who is bi, because if you're bi, you're attracted to both. If you're pan, you're attracted to both. But the way that
with bi, there's a preference. With pan, there's no preference.
Right.
So like I identify as bisexual. I have a preference towards men, but I still do like women. But with a pan person, typically they don't have that preference.
Right. So it's almost like a bias then towards one of the sexual. And with pan, they just go, we don't care. It's a free for all. Happy days. Bring it on. Okay, that's cool. That's okay. Yeah, that was what I had understood. There was no there was no bias and anything. It's just whatever. Doesn't really matter.
You're attracted to the individual is what you're attracted to.
Yes. I think that's a really good, I think that's a really good description, actually. It's about that individual person, not that they're male, female, or alien even. Like, let's face it. There's not, because aliens are a lot in the media at the moment over here in Australia. So it's like.
They are here too.
Like, oh my God. It's like alien encounters are going to happen sooner or later and all of this. I'm like, oh my God. That's a whole different subject. Okay. So Jax, when did you feel that things weren't quite right? At what age? Like, have you always felt like this, or like?
I have a very poor concept of time, so I don't really know when it started. I don't know if it's like always been this way or what, but I don't remember a time where I wasn't comfortable being called, a girl or pretty or stuff like that.
Wow. Okay. So it's sort of always sort of been there as such.
Yeah. I just never had words for it.
And you can't like go, oh, well, on the 25th of October, like you can't go like that, right? It's just that it's something that's been there. That's a feeling, and like, that's okay. That's fine. That's cool. So crikey, what are some of the challenges that you guys, I mean, I know where you live, right? So, I mean, you're not exactly, and I'm not going to state where you are, but you're not exactly in a transgender friendly state. That's all I'm going to say, right? In the US. But
well, I mean, we can definitely, like we can say we're in Texas and it's.
Oh, okay. There we go then. All right.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to, I thought, well, we'll leave it open there, but you're so, well, fine. Okay.
Texas is a big state. Good luck finding us.
Well, that's true. Well, that's that's true. That's okay. Like Australia is pretty big, but maybe not as big as the US. So what are some of the challenges that you faced and had to go through? Because in Australia, I'm proud of where I live, and it seems to be fairly straightforward. Over here, like birth certificates get changed, hormone treatments and all of those sort of things. But like, what are some of the challenges that you guys have had to go through?
Do you want to talk about your personal challenges first, and then I can talk about more political general?
I don't know. Sure.
Well, what have been some of the things that you have found challenging?
My dad.
Your dad.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Yes, because you're a single mum, aren't you? So you have to co-parent.
Yeah, my dad's not the most accepting of people when it comes to me being trans. Neither is my stepmom.
Wow.
School can be difficult too, depending on the teacher. I have one teacher this year who doesn't seem to care all that much. Which sucks.
Regarding pronouns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The one that I emailed, or a different one?
I think the one you emailed.
Okay. Just check it.
Because I know there were challenges with I know that there have been challenges faced by some people regarding teachers not using for want of a better word, their new names, their names that they identify with, or chosen name. And they have turned around and said, well, if it's not on your birth certificate, I'm not calling you by that name. And so that's like a real, that's a real arse thing to do.
It really is. Well, and I can talk a little bit about that too, because before we moved here fairly recently. It was about a year ago, a little more than a year ago that we moved here. And before we moved, I had emailed, and I may have talked about this on the episode that I was on before, but
I don't know.
Before we moved here, I emailed the administrations of several different school districts in the area. So we moved down here. My grandmother has dementia and she needs some more care. And so I was coming down here all the time anyway. I wanted to be closer to my sister. I wanted to be closer to my parents, lots of reasons to move. But I sent this email and I said, listen, I want to know, how your school handles kids who have different needs. And by that, I mean, I have one child who is trans. I have one child who has Tourette's. What are your processes? How do you treat that kind of situation? And I got an email back from one school district that was like, we're a very conservative school district and we hire conservative teachers, and we basically won't be accommodating anything related to the child who is trans. And I was like, great. So we're going to go to the school district now. Called my real estate agent and said, here's the line. Don't go into that school district, period. End of story.
Wow.
And, she was like, oh, there's some really good houses though. I'm like, and I absolutely said no. I said, no, we will not be attending that school district, period. End of story. And the school district that we wound up going to, their response was, we treat kids as humans. That's it.
Okay.
We think that the way. Yeah, if you want to have a different name in the system, of course, we have to go by the birth certificate for all official records, but we'll accommodate that. We get all of our teachers to support children as children and that kind of thing. So last year, we had an issue with one teacher who I had to have a pretty decently stern conversation with.
Wow.
And I, when that happens, because this year I had to send not as uncomfortable of an email this time, but when that happens, I just point out, look, you can believe whatever you want to believe, but your treatment of someone makes a difference. And here are some statistics. Here are some statistics on suicidality in transgender teens. Really, you can reduce the risk of suicide in transgender teens, at least in the US, by 72% by just affirming pronouns and name at school, at home, and in the community. And by the time I'm done sending all of the studies that I am aware of to these different teachers, they're pretty much like, I don't want to deal with that parent anymore. I guess I'll just abide.
So bullying them down. No, but that should be the case, right? We're all human beings. It doesn't matter what you identify as. We're all human beings. We have a right to be treated all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. And all to be respected. Like we need to respect people's religions and beliefs and how they identify. So, some people identify, for want of a better word, well, I'm going to be really controversial now, but some people are Christian, right? Some people identify as other people, right? So, just respecting people as human beings.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Did you have any challenges at your old school before you switched over?
Not really, no.
With people who already knew you or anything?
No.
Really. So that's one thing that I have been really impressed about is the kids that are around, kids his age who are in his classes, and even kids, my youngest, who, like I said, he's 10. He has been so adaptive to just like, okay, well, now we've gone through a few different names as well, and now you're going by this name and that sort of thing. And of course, he's gonna mess up. I messed up plenty as well. And it's like, you just got to give people, if you give people the grace to mess up and to correct themselves, then that's fine. And kids these days, normally that's a bad statement, but kids these days seem to be really accepting. And that's been really impressive to me, at least.
Yeah.
Far more accepting than the adults.
No. I and I mean, that's what I don't understand, right? Adults are supposed to be these mature adults who, supposed to be empathetic, and all of this Instagram stuff is like, be kind. If there's one thing you can be, there's like, be kind, right? And like, no, such bigoted, egotistical views on things. So, Jax, how did you start to transition then? How did you start? Did you just start changing your clothes? How did you actually go about letting the world know who you were?
I don't remember.
Oh. Mom, how did he do it?
Well, you want to talk about some things that you do now to be socially transitioned?
Well, I don't introduce myself using my birth name anymore. I use my preferred name.
Yeah.
I use he, him pronouns with everyone, unless it's unsafe for me to do so.
Yeah.
I don't think my dress has changed, because I feel like I still kind of wear the same clothes that I used to wear.
Well, you don't really wear dresses or anything.
Well, no, but
skirts or
I
anything
never
like that.
did previously. Before
well, you did. You did.
Yeah, but like not often.
No, well, your school wouldn't allow it. So there was that.
But then, like, hairstyles, did you have longer hair? Because I'm looking at you now, and you've got you've got a fantastic style, right? But like, it's short. It's short hair.
It's shaved on both sides.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, no, I should describe it. Shaved on both sides and with a longer fringy thing. Oh, I'm so old. I don't know what you would call that.
I think it's called an undercut.
I have no clue.
Where it's long on the top and shaved on the side.
Yeah, there we go.
It's called an undercut.
Yeah, I did have an undercut, but not like your undercut. So okay.
Well, he also wears a binder sometimes.
Doesn't do much, but
Yeah, we've had to have a lot of conversations about, especially whenever we were first looking at getting a binder, and that was another fairly uncomfortable conversation.
All conversations with you are uncomfortable.
It's because you're his mom.
Yes, everything is uncomfortable because I don't let things go. So there's that. But there are some risks of like tissue damage whenever you wear a binder. And so we had to have a really good conversation about how long he was allowed to wear it and that kind of thing. And we do regular sizing and everything for it too.
And so let's just actually explain about the binder, right? The binder is there to actually bind around boobs, for want of a better word, breasts for a professional word, to reduce them down, to make it more of a male looking body than a female looking body as such.
Yeah. And it just it rearranges the breast tissue so that it looks more flat instead. And of course, I mean,
pulls it down.
I mean, I am large chested, and
most
Jax
family
got that from me. Yeah, my whole family side. But what a chest binder does is it takes that and it just makes it more uniform. And so it does cause, the breast tissue to rearrange itself, and it causes some stretch marks that probably wouldn't otherwise have been there. And so, but the benefit of it is that then whenever you're wearing something like a button-down shirt, you have a more flat area, and it's noticeable that you have breast tissue. So
no, that's fair enough.
Yeah,
and
to an extent,
not for me,
right? But
and so that's sort of like a fairly full-on challenge for you physically, as such, because I suppose it's easy to change your hair, you don't wear makeup and all of those sort of things, but then and change how you look fit in clothes as such, with what clothes you wear. And did anyone when you were starting to do this, friends wise, they just went, yeah, okay, this is what you do now? Is that what they were like?
Yeah, pretty much all of them. Now I'm thinking back.
They were all supportive.
Yeah,
and
all my friends were very supportive. A couple of them, I came out, and then like a week or two later, they also came out.
Oh, wow, cool.
So it was like a fun little chain of events.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works. Chain reaction.
Yeah.
I think it's...
And now it's kind of cool. A lot of his friends are trans, and so it's not like, oh, everyone in the school is trans, but I think that they've like attracted each other, like they're all magnets or something.
Yeah, which is good, because you can each support each other and and help from that perspective. What about jobs? Because I know, because you're 16, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
So do you work? Do you do part-time work? I don't know. So do you find that there would be challenges with finding a job?
I don't work. I do jobs for my grandpa and stuff sometimes. But I do go into a school and kind of assist.
Oh,
it's like a work study.
Yeah.
It's like a work study program.
Yeah.
Not paid, but
not paid. But I do that.
Well, and I mentioned at the beginning that you want to be a teacher. So this is part of that. It's part of that as preparation. Sorry.
So have you had any challenges with that?
Not really, no. The teacher's super cool about everything, and all of the kids are very receptive, and I haven't had any resistance from any of the kids.
Well, kids just accept the situation as it is, don't they? Face value. It's like, we should so be more like kids. Adults should be.
Really
it's like,
should.
Oh, so that's pretty cool.
I should get to be more like a kid.
Get to be more like a kid.
I'm going to start acting like a child.
You already act like a child.
But what about parents of your friends then? Were there any challenges regarding parents of your friends?
Most of my friends right now, except for one, I haven't met their parents, but I've heard stories, and I don't think it would be received in the best light.
Wow.
So a lot of my friends' parents, they don't really accept.
They don't support their kids.
No, they don't.
Wow. Which is a shame.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they wouldn't support you, though. They might just be like, that's on you and your parents, and just give them the information, But it sucks because, sometimes he'll have some friends over and they're trans, and I'm like, okay, well, what's your name? What are your pronouns? And no big deal. But then Jax will tell me later, don't mention that in front of their parents.
Yeah.
Okay,
which is a
fair
bummer,
enough.
you know?
Yeah, it is. It is, because you should be able to be open and out there, and and your parents are the one people that you, or the people that you need to have love and support you. But
right.
So, what challenges have you, Mama Firefox? What challenges have you had regarding all of this, and how do you overcome? Because do you get like, how do you co-parent with somebody who doesn't support your child, for one?
So that is that's been an adventure.
Oh, I can imagine.
I'm not the kind of person who shies away from conflict, as you might have already deduced.
I am.
Jax does not like conflict. I wouldn't say thrive on conflict, but
you do.
I like it.
Yeah.
So it's been a real struggle for me, because I have to I have to walk the line of how much do you want me to get involved versus how much is the other parent willing to listen to versus what's it really going to change. So the main things that I've done is insisted on chosen name, chosen pronouns in all text communications. We don't really talk on the phone or anything. Everything is text.
Right.
But unfortunately, the result of that has been, okay, now he just doesn't use name or pronouns in any text communications.
Okay. Oh dear.
Which is, whatever, that's his choice. But it's really hard for me when Jax comes home really upset or calls me because he wants to come home early because he's really upset about something that's happened over there related to name, pronouns, that kind of thing. It's hard for me to hold my tongue sometimes.
I know.
Yeah. Well, you're just there to support your kid, aren't you, really, at the end of the day? And it's hard, right? It's the hardest thing to have to deal with, your child being upset.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to make things worse either. And that's the thing that I struggle with is, of course, I want to defend. Of course, I want to be in his corner. But with his other parent,
you've got to pick your fights.
Yeah, you kind of got to pick your battles, and you kind of got to be like, okay, if I say something about this right now, is that going to mean that he has an uncomfortable weekend while he's over there?
Yeah.
So that has definitely been a challenge. And then I would say, like, some of the other challenges at first, getting name and pronouns right was hard. I messed up. I don't know how much I messed up, but it was probably a whole lot.
I should have kept it counted.
You should have kept it. You could have used like a clicker.
And then
you could have had $1 for every time she got it wrong, right? $1. You would need to work.
Exactly.
Thank God you didn't think about that back then. So that was a challenge. And then there's a little bit of like, I chose his name very carefully whenever he was born. So I had an attachment to his name, and I had to adjust to kind of be like, you know what? It's fine. If it does now, it's like, I don't care, whatever. If it doesn't serve you, don't do it. But at first that was really hard. It's not something that, as a parent, your child is born, you pick a name for them. You don't get assigned a name for them. You choose that name. And most of the time it usually has some sort of meaning for you. Yeah. And it did for me. I mean, your name had very nice meaning, I think.
Yeah. I don't know what the meaning was.
So your name, you were named after the two archangels in the Bible, and also after Papa.
Two of them? Oh, yeah. Okay.
And also after BB.
Yeah.
So it's like there was significance to the name that I had chosen. Yeah. And now there's significance to the name that you've chosen. Mm-hmm. And
the middle name.
Yes, right. So it's kind of, that was an adjustment for sure. Just getting used to the new name. The pronouns weren't as big of a deal. The name was hard. There was a little bit of like, it was kind of sad for a little while until I got used to it, And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to have like not a mourning period for the old name, but just to be like, oh, bummer.
I like how you put that so relaxing, but you're right, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, I didn't choose my son's name. I got his sisters to do it so he can fight with them. But his middle names, right? My son's middle names are my father's name and my ex-partner's father's name, right? So, and they're male names, right? So if he decided he wanted to transition and he wanted to change his names, right? They're quite special names, right? And these names can't be morphed and changed into a female version of the name, right? So that would be, there would be a little bit of a grieving period is not really what I would want to, but
it's not like that intense.
No,
me and my friends compare it to finding a stray cat on the streets and taking care of it for a while, and then realizing that the cat is not your cat and having to give it back to someone else.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
It's an interesting comparison.
Hey, we have interesting comparisons for a lot of things.
But no, okay. So co-parenting is a challenge, but you just have to pick your battles. The name thing was not great.
That was
there
difficult.
Was a period
and
of
I
time
messed up a lot. Like that was that I just messed up a lot, and it was kind of like, oh, I meant to say he, him, but I said she, her, because for the first, 12 years of his life,
you used to say that.
So,
yeah, exactly. No, exactly.
And his younger brother messed up as well, and it was a big adjustment for him too. And it was just a matter of now you're okay with saying you meant to say he, or you meant to say him or his.
Yeah.
But at first you weren't comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
What did it take to get you comfortable doing that?
I'm still not comfortable.
Well, you're comfortable doing it with him.
That's because he's annoying.
You're comfortable doing it with me.
Because you're annoying.
Yeah, there we go. Family. You're all annoying, so it doesn't matter. I was going to say though, Jax, I was going to ask you, would there have been anything that would have made this easier for you, transitioning easier for you? Apart from maybe your mum having deep conversations with you about identity and sexuality and hassling the hell out of you.
Still love him.
Yeah.
I don't know, looking different probably.
Oh wow, okay.
If I didn't look how I look right now, it'd probably be a lot better. But I can't really change that. So
are you considering hormone treatment or anything like that, or are you doing hormone treatment? I don't know if Texas allows that. So sorry,
not right now.
Not right now.
No.
So Texas passed a law that if you're under 18, you can't have gender reaffirming surgery, hormone replacement. Now that's gone all the way up to the Supreme Court, and I'm not sure right now if where that stands. So it is being. There are people fighting the good fight. Yeah. But right now, you're not allowed to do that if you're not over 18. You could do it before this went into place, but you had to have both parents' consent.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. And so while I would be willing to give my consent for some things.
Yeah. Not surgeries yet.
Right.
Not surgeries.
Body altering surgeries, I think, needs to be an adult decision for you, I think. Everyone can decide that for themselves.
Yeah, everyone's different.
I'm not saying there is a right way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But things like puberty blockers, I think, would have been fine.
Yeah.
But not having the other parent who's going to give that consent really puts a constraint on
it's
you.
really challenging. And I suppose where you live at the moment means that you can't go to court and go, well, he doesn't consent to it, but I think, because they'll just go, see you later, and chuck it out of court.
Yeah, too bad. Too bad, so sad is what we would get. It would just be a waste of money.
Yeah,
no. And there's just no point. You might as well save that up for when you hit 18 and you can do it. And you don't need anyone's permission as such. Wow. Okay. What would have made it easier for you, Mama Firefox?
What would have made it easier for me? Everything that would have made it easier for me would be like if I had already gotten a divorce. Things like that, because at the time I was married not to his father, but to someone else who was also not very accepting. And actually, one of the reasons that I cut contact with him is because he absolutely refused to use chosen name, chosen pronouns. And I said, you do that one more time, you're not going to be able to keep talking to me or my kids, except for the one that you fathered, which is that one in there.
Yeah.
So
that's so disrespectful though.
Yeah, really disrespectful. And I think, at the time we were already separating, but I think if at the time we had actually already divorced and he had gotten out of the house and everything, it would have been easier. But that's only because then I would have been able to focus more on the stress. And I say stress, not like bad stress, but the changes that were happening. And the reality was I was just dealing with 20,000 things at one time.
No, exactly.
So talking about making it easier, I don't think that it was more difficult than it had to be when it comes to you saying, hey, I'm trans and want to transition and everything, because the conversations that we had would have been as uncomfortable anyway, just because of the way that we are, like, communication wise. With me being, hey, let's communicate, and him being no. You're gonna have to make me, kind of thing. Which is not bad, but I think that all would have been about the same. But if I hadn't been dealing with other stuff at the same time, that would have been ideal.
Is there places, so I mean, good old Google, but are there places out there to support you guys? Jax, where did you get support? Where did you figure out what was going on with you? How did you figure it out?
The internet, pretty much.
Yeah. And so are there groups? Do you just Google, I think I'm trans, and then all this stuff comes up? Or like if somebody was listening to this and going, oh my God, I think that sounds like where I'm at. How do we help somebody listening to this who maybe hasn't come out to their parents, but just really doesn't have a clue how to get support themselves to enable them to come out?
I found a lot of, again, the internet. I found a lot of groups online, on Discord and, other social media platforms who were, I don't want to say like me, but who were also trans or, and under the LGBTQ plus spectrum, were like, this is normal. You're not wrong for feeling this way. And it was helpful a lot.
Yeah. So going online and sort of getting the support from people online as such, and going and just talking through with them. And I suppose it's a little bit easier because you can do that on a train anywhere on your phone, can't you? So it's sort of, although we laugh and we go, oh, all these people were sitting in their houses, like isolating themselves from people, it can actually be an advantage because, did you feel pretty lonely though? And isolated?
Yeah, because they weren't with me. They were there, but they weren't where I was. And it not that it didn't feel real, but it didn't feel like I was actually being comforted or anything like that. I also got support through books. There are a lot of books that I read, and an author that I really, really like has a lot of representation in the books that he writes. And so seeing someone who I admire write about the things that I am is pretty cool.
Who's the author?
Rick Riordan. The Percy Jackson books were written by Rick Riordan, and the Magnus Chase books were also written by him.
Okay, cool.
And they have pretty good representation throughout all of them.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And when you finally came out, how did that feel?
It felt good. It felt good to get it off my chest. It didn't feel good to be out until a while later. It still felt uncomfortable and new, and I didn't like it all that much. But it got better, definitely, as time went by, and I got used to it.
And your mum didn't hassle you so much with all her questions and interrogations.
Oh no, I still do that.
Oh yeah, she's just not about the same thing. So.
Oh, that's funny. Well, what about you, Momma Firefox? like, where did you get, I mean, like, so Jax comes out and goes, hey, guess what? I want to transition to a boy. Where did you go for help? Where did you go? Oh my God, how do I deal with this?
Yeah. So fortunately, I'm already a really, really big part of a Discord community that we have around my podcast. And so because we already have all these mental health support and peer support channels where we can just go in and talk about things that are going on, that was a big part of it, was just talking to the folks in my community who were already supporting me on other things like depression and anxiety and
divorce and all the other shit that goes on.
That kind of stuff. And then also, I mean, I was in therapy. So that was one of those things that I talked about with my therapist, and she helped me understand the things that I was sad about, the things that I was not upset about, or like, that is not the right word, but it really was just, sad about the name kind of thing. Those sorts of things I was able to talk through with my own therapist who I was already talking to. And then I also have a good friend who actually, it's the mom of someone who is in Girl Scouts with Jax. And her son is also trans. And so they were in the same Girl Scout troop as kids. And then, I don't remember his name back then.
Who's the mom?
Nancy Rush.
Can you describe what he looks
like? No, not anymore.
But that's okay. But like, so she had trans son.
She was going through kind of the same things. And it was really interesting because right at the beginning of when I started my podcast, I had it was Dr. K, and she's a teacher or professor at UNT, and she does her course on gender studies. And I had her as a podcast guest, and Nancy reached out to me and said, hey, we're going through some things. Can I just ask a couple of questions of your guest? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. She said, I can't be there while you're live. If you can just ask them for me. And that's kind of how I found out that she was dealing with, not dealing with sounds like the wrong term, but whatever, you know what I mean? So she was kind of experiencing the same things that we were going through as well. And so then she and I started talking, and it was really cool because it was like, she's married to someone who is also supportive. So her experience has been quite different from mine. But it's neat to have someone that you can say, you know me, you kind of know my kid also. I know you, I kind of know your kid also. And so to kind of compare those experiences and just generally ask questions and that sort of thing was really helpful to me. So I would say if you are a parent of someone who has just come out as trans, see if there's someone around you who's going through the same thing that you already know, because there probably is someone who you can talk to in your life that you already are aware of and already know. So that was really helpful. So the community that I already had around me in Discord, my therapist, and then I had a friend who was going through something very similar.
And Discord is like a chat room app thing, isn't it? Sorry to sound, because I don't know if other people, I never heard of it until you told me about it the last time we spoke. But like, Discord is like a chat room app, isn't it? Where you can go in and chat with other people, like groups.
It's text and voice, and you can send pictures, videos, text.
They're putting games in now.
Yeah, you can. It was started as kind of a gaming communications app. And it's expanded since then. So it's really all about community and connection, I would say, with Discord.
Wow. What a journey, man. What a journey. Yeah. So look, what are your hopes for the future? I'm going to go Jax first. Jax, what do you hope to have happen? Because you're 16, right? World's ahead of you now.
Yeah. I want to fully medically transition. I want to socially transition. I guess I'm already socially transitioned, but like, even more, I guess, in a way. I don't know. What else do I want? I want to be a teacher. Like I know. That's it right now. I want to go to college. Yeah. That's another one.
And just be accepted as who you are.
Yes. Yeah. Going to college, being accepted, being a teacher, being an example for other kids who are growing up, having that influence over other kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being able to be a good person and not a shitty one.
A safe person.
A safe person.
For people. Yeah. Not the teachers that a parent's going to have to email.
Yeah. And then have your child get called to the office because of said email.
Oh my God. Dear me. Dear me.
Yeah. So one of the emails that I sent it to the teacher who we were having an issue with. I didn't realize the principal reads all of the teachers' emails.
Oh, okay.
And the principal read it. I didn't say anything wrong, but I did mention statistics around teen suicide and transgender students and everything.
Yeah.
And so Jax got pulled into the principal's office for like a well check.
See if you're okay and see if you were like mentally healthy and all of that sort of malarkey. Shame. Well, hats off to the school for doing that, right? Because
yes, absolutely.
They were just watching out.
Well, right. And while Jax is not, I don't think a suicide risk, other kids might be. And that was kind of my point to the teacher was, look, I have a child who is supported, who is in therapy, everything's good, but you could be impacting other students without even realizing it, because if they see that Jax is not safe to be himself, they're not going to be safe to be themselves either. And so the principal was like, are you okay? Is everything all right? And what did you say?
Something about you being protective, probably.
Yeah. So just that I'm extra and
you are very
protective
extra.
And
I think as a mum, we're all mama bears. We all protect our kids. It's it's how we are. It's how we are. No, that's fair. What about you then, Mama Firefox? What about your hopes for the future? Like,
I mean, I think my hopes for the future in this context are just that Jax continues to be a happy, healthy kid, and that once he's through college and everything, that he continues to be, or that he becomes a happy, healthy adult, and that he gets people's support, can surround himself with people who will support him, which I know that he would do now if he was able to make those decisions. But some of those decisions are harder to make. So just that he's met with a lot of grace and acceptance by the people around him in his future job, in his future college, and everything. We control what we can as parents, but once they're adults, there's really not much you can control. So
I know that's the scary thing about it, isn't it? That is the scary thing about it. And it is like, it's just you just want your child to be safe, happy and safe. That's it. Happy, healthy and safe. Let's put the healthy one in there as well. Happy, healthy and safe. Yeah. Look, if people want to get in contact with you guys or are going through similar sort of stuff and want to have questions or want to ask anything, how can they contact you and just go, hey, I think we're doing the similar sort of stuff? Or if people want to contact you, Jax, and go, hey, I think I want to transition, but I'm not sure, or I don't know how to tell someone, or what's going on with how do I do this or how do I do that, or I don't know, just general advice. How do they get in contact with you?
So my email is mamafoxfire@gmail.com. And I'm Mama Foxfire everywhere on all socials. So if you just look for me as Mama Foxfire, you're going to find it. And you're welcome to message me, to email me, whatever. And that's, if you're trying to get in contact with me, if you're trying to get in contact with Jax and you can't find him or whatever, you're welcome to just connect with me. And then if you want to.
My email is foxfirekit2@gmail.com. What am I on my social platforms? Pretty much, I think Inhuman Horrors on everything.
Yeah.
Alternating dash and underscore depending on where I am.
Yeah.
No, that's
but
cool.
Email's probably best.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's okay. No, that's fine. That's okay. And look, final question. What's a piece of advice that you've been given that you're still using?
I don't know.
Why did I think you were going to say that?
most pieces of advice I get kind of just get stored in the back part of my brain, and I never really open them again.
I think for me, the best piece of advice that I have been given that I still use and that I still say is that hating someone else is like drinking poison yourself and hoping that they'll die. So wasting that time on hate, wasting that time and energy and brain space on someone who isn't being kind to you or who is otherwise just taking up space in your head rent free isn't worth it.
No, because they aren't thinking about you. They're not thinking about you. They're probably never had a thought. They might have been nasty to you and then that's it. Go on to the next person that they're nasty to. Whereas if you get all bent out of shape about it and keep thinking about it and keep looking back at the past events or whatever, then they're in the past, right? You can't change them. So you've got to just move forward and change and influence your future. No, that's great advice.
And then
great advice.
I think also just a piece of advice that I give Jax all the time that he hates is that you do have to talk about stuff. You do have to talk to the people who are going to be there for you. And if I were able to implant a piece of advice into his head to be like, you must remember this and use it all the time, it would be to talk more to the people that love you and that can help you.
And I saw in my trolling on social media that I troll in the morning at like 5 a.m. or whatever when I can't sleep because the menopause is hitting me. I saw a fantastic, and I'll post it in the notes. But there is a guy in the States, and there is a website, you guys might know about it, I don't know, that basically is like surrogate parents for trans and gay and bisexual. So anyone whose parents have gone, nah, sorry, I don't accept you as whatever you want to identify as, these guys become like surrogate parents for them. So they walk people down the aisle and they do all these things to support them and become friends and support them. And you don't need to be another gay person or identify as pansexual or, be trans or anything like that to actually support. You can be a straight person who just thinks that other people who are parents of children who they've rejected are really horrible and nasty and need to support their kids, right? And so you can just be a straight person who goes out and supports them. And I'll post the details on there because these guys are doing an amazing job at just supporting other people and being nice. And I can't think... It's because it's too early in the morning for me. I cannot think like what the name of it is, but I'll post it on there. I will find the geezer on Insta and I will post the link and everything on there because it's so awesome.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. And I feel the same way. I mean, if someone isn't being accepting and you just need a mom for a minute, send me an email. Like, I'm here. I'll be your mom.
Exactly.
I'll be your mom. It's fine.
No, me too, though. I feel exactly the same as you, right? It's like, let's all give everyone a hug, not like be horrible. Yes, right. Okay. Well, look, thank you so much. Thank you, Jax, because thank you for coming on board and being so open and honest with us. Even if it was moaning about mum, but that's okay. That's cool. But no, because it takes a lot, especially in the state where you guys live. I know there's a big state and people can't find you, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot to actually come on board and be out there publicly, especially on a podcast. Thank you, Momma Firefox. Like, love your work all the time. Thank you, guys. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thanks for listening. If you've enjoyed this podcast and you would like to hear more, please hit subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. If you would like to support us further, share this episode with your friends and family. And finally, drop us a review on iTunes, as I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, and ideas. It all helps me to understand and produce awesome content you want to hear just like this. If you want to check out our past episodes, write to us, appear on the podcast, or for links, resources, and show notes, go to our website, www.strongsingleandhuman.com. We are also on all the usual social media platforms, Insta, Facey, and Twitter. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Be kind to yourself, and remember, no one is perfect. We're all just putting one foot in front of the other and doing our best. I'm Claire Martin, and you've been listening to the Strong, Single and Human podcast.